Hello and welcome to this week's Boardroom Buddies podcast. So this week I'm focusing on Boardroom Buddies Mastermind and really talking about Mastermind in general and why the process of Mastermind is important, not just to big businesses, but particularly to the owners of micro businesses, solopreneurs, people who might be in an employed and responsible position, and how the collective energy of the people around a table can really help you to move your business forwards. I was going to record all of this and answer lots of questions on this week's podcast, and then realised that I was lucky enough last year to be a guest on the Grow Radio podcast run by Gary Jones. So rather than re-record all of this information, I thought it would be great to release the episode that I did with Grow Radio and Gary Jones to share all the information with you as with me as guest rather than having a guest. So I hope you enjoy listening. If you are thinking of running your own podcast, starting a podcast, or like a bit of training and heads up in how to do a podcast, then Gary Jones is your man. You'll find him on LinkedIn, on Grow Radio, and I couldn't do this without him. So hope you enjoy the listen. Let me know what you don't like about it and what you do like about it. And of course, if there's any questions, just get in touch. Thanks for listening.
Hey folks, and how are you doing? Now, welcome to this episode of The Grow Show. Now, The Grow Show is here to give you ideas, to share stories from my guests and from my personal experiences, and basically just to spend 20, 25 minutes, half hour or so, just having a chat with someone so you can listen to them and learn from them. And today, I am joined by Jackie Casey from Jackie Casey Consulting, and we're going to be talking about the power of masterminds. Now, if you don't know what a mastermind is at this point, that's okay. We're going to talk about what they are, how they help people, maybe where they started from, and more importantly, how you can build your business and your skills by using the people around you. Now, I'm not the best person to talk to you about this, but my guest is. So I'm going to bring Jackie in now, and then we're going to have a chat about masterminds. And then, yeah, if you've got any questions for her, hit her up afterwards on socials, put it into the comments, wherever you're watching or listening, and connect with her. So, welcome to The Grow Show. Jackie, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. And hello, everybody.
That's all right. And do you know what? When you mentioned about the topic today, I'm kind of wetting my lips to find out more, because I'm someone who knows a little bit about masterminds. I've read a couple of books that mention masterminds. Obviously, work with you on your podcast, and you obviously talk about masterminds on there with Boardroom Buddies. But I've never participated. So I am coming in from this, coming from the point of view of wanting to learn more about masterminds and how it can help me, my business, and also the listeners and with their businesses. So before we get into it, Jackie, who are you? What do you do? How do you help people? Big three questions to kick stuff off.
Yeah, how long have I got? So I'm a wife, a mum, mum to very grown-up children now who don't live with us anymore. And 5 grandchildren across all of them. So my husband, Roy, works in the business with me and has done since 2008. And we've had the business founded since 2007, or rather I founded it in 2006, sorry. So we've been going a while. So outside of work, I like gardening. I found gardening in the pandemic. I really enjoy it. So I'm actually very weirdly, and maybe it's because of my age as well, I'm quite excited about spring and getting out in the garden.
No, it's not weird at all.
So I do find that I quite like the kind of natural environment. So I get a lot of kind of peace and calm from walking, outside in the woods and all that sort of thing. So yeah, like a bit of gin,
Why not?
Not too much.
Go on, what's your favourite brand and flavour of gin and mixer?
Well, at the moment, I'm really into the Tarquin's Cornish Dry.
Nice.
And in fact, several of the Tarquin's ones I quite like the flavour of. And it has to be Fever Tree for me.
To be fair, I spoke to, I was one of my clients at one point in time was a wine company in the local area, and we had quite a few kind of reps come in and talk to us about the flavors of gin and whiskey and rum, and the mixers make up such a large amount of kind of the flavor and the actual volume of the drink. Getting a good quality mixer is so important. Fever Tree, spot on, absolutely spot on. Tarquin Dry, lovely. Lovely. Anyway, we digress.
Off gin.
That's fine. That's fine. We're 4 minutes in.
9 o'clock in the morning.
We've ticked off gin. So that's all good.
Yeah. So I love music as well. So we're very into our 80s music because, you know, children of the 80s and all that. So we're big orchestral manoeuvres in the dark fans and electronic music. But I like all music. So, you know, modern, you know, pop, soul, all that kind of stuff.
Nice. So that's Jackie the person.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jackie the business, or Jackie Casey Consulting. So talk about that. You mentioned it launched a while back.
Yes.
Currently, how are you helping people on a day-to-day basis?
So currently, I have a mastermind group. So we come together on a monthly basis, face-to-face. And during the pandemic, we did it on Zoom. And they kind of view me as the head teacher. So I'll say to them, you know, how's it been for the last month? What did you achieve? What are your wins? Those kinds of things. And we talk about and celebrate actually what's gone really well, because that's something we don't do as micro business owners. We forget to kind of think, yeah, that's a win. I did that. I've moved the business forwards. And that's what Mastermind is all about. It's about helping micro business owners to move their business forwards, because over the years, starting out as a micro, and I still am, that there isn't help out there. That there's, you know, if you're a bigger business and wanting to employ lots of people, there's probably a bit more help for you. But for us, you're on your own. And you might have your networks, your chamber and your institute directors and things like that. And they are great networks to be part of. But in terms of your personal development and expanding your knowledge and skills so that you can improve your competency to run your business, then Mastermind is absolutely brilliant for that.
Brilliant. I know from personal experience that, and also I'm the editor of your podcast and you talk about it on that as well. And also the theme tune of your podcast is 80s inspired. So yeah, the 80s inspired kind of theme does kind of kick in. But listening to the stories of, especially I think it's episode 3 or 4, where actually you recorded it at a mastermind group and you spoke to the different people inside the group. It is about sharing wins, and it is about kind of getting action. It's about accountability. But actually, it's very supportive in terms of that. And you call yourself a headmistress, and that kind of, to me, brings more of an authority figure kind of essence to it. But actually, it's not. But from what I've heard, you're not. You're more of a guiding kind of presence to kind of direct people. And that does certainly kind of come across in terms of the episodes that I've listened to and edited, and the experiences that I've heard from different people's kind of shared stories about masterminds as well.
Yeah, I haven't got it in me to be a headmistress, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'm probably working in that and earning a lot more than I earn now.
But balance between happiness and joy, happiness and money and all that stuff. I am at that end of my working career where it is all about helping other business owners. And what I've learned is that you don't do it on your own, and you can't do it on your own. Your success will depend a lot on the people that you surround yourself with and that you interact with. And if you're the sort of person that is inspired by people who know that bit more about you, or know a bit more than you, you know, they may have other skills and they'll certainly have other experiences than you. Drawing on that expertise and that shared experience can help you to grow. And I find that just listening to my mastermind members, that I learn such a lot from them. So it is a
it is a two-way street. I shouldn't perhaps say that because I charge them.
To be fair, I completely get it, because when I'm editing podcasts, I'm putting it into kind of my area of expertise. I'm learning from every single episode that I'm doing. So I do get it. And also, if you're listening and if you're active listening to someone or a podcast or whatever you're doing in that circumstances, you're taking it in. So naturally, you're going to learn things and you're going to absorb different pieces of information and ideas. If you are active listening rather than just skimming it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, with Mastermind, what we do is if someone tables a challenge or a problem that they've got, or they need to make a decision, they're not sure which way to go, then we'll all contribute to asking questions about it to explore what actually is happening or could happen. So we look at, the negatives. We look at the possibilities on a positive stance. Anybody who's already maybe have experienced whatever as this person has presented, they can share what their experience is. And we might, sometimes I'll make a list of the ideas and the outcomes of what implementing some of those ideas might be. And then we, the person concerned can say, oh, well, actually, yeah, I'm going to try that. Or they might say, actually, from discussing it, I don't think it's a route I want to go down. So it helps them to make the decision based on the discussion. And of course, if you're a micro business owner working on your own, which is, a lot of the time you are, you don't get that benefit of that discussion. And I know that some people, might have an informal network where they, they go out to dinner with peers and things like that. And that's just as good, as a mastermind, if you have a bit of structure to it. So, yeah. So it's helping people to, I suppose, move their business forwards earlier, quicker. Because if looking back, if I'd have had the value of Mastermind when I first started, that would have been so brilliant. And I would have moved my business on so much quicker. And I'd really love for the Mastermind approach to be a more generally available thing for all business owners to participate in.
Quick question about Masterminds in terms of the people inside the group, because you've mentioned about your kind of early doors for business and it would have accelerated your growth. And I know when I've participated into group chats, which could be classed as mini masterminds, we've had a structure, people have given different views, but you're only as good as the people in the room in that case and their views and their opinions and their experiences. So how important is it to choose the right mastermind and also the right group of people in the actual room itself?
There is a level of importance, I think, in that the individuals need to have a certain mindset, I would say, more than anything else. Because quite often in the group, the people in the room may not know the answers or have any experience of whatever has been tabled, but they will know someone who does. So one of the key things for me is that the group are diverse in what they do and personality as well. If you have a group of people who are like-minded in as much as they think the same, then you're not going to get new ideas and different kinds of experiences. So for me, I have a mastermind where I don't have people who do the same thing. So although it's kind of a, it sounds like an exclusive seat, it's more the fact that there's a diversity in the room. And I think that's really important. I mean, I have a member who has a more industrial kind of type of business to a member who is a very creative individual. and they still bring together good ideas that help each other because they are unlike each other. So that's really important, the diversity of the group as far as I'm concerned. And I also keep the group very small, because if you, I know that there are some masterminds that are like, 50 people or more, and their whole thing, their aim is to, help each other grow their businesses, shared experiences. But when you have 50 people together, there are going to be some individuals in the room who will not be able to speak, and their voice isn't heard. They're not able to share their ideas or even ask. And so I keep the group small so that everybody has a chance to have their say, really, and to ask questions that are relevant to them. And there are no daft questions, no stupid questions at all. And the group are very respectful of each other. They've built up an amazing supportive relationship between them. So you'll have heard the know, like, and trust phrase. I mean, it's like that, but on speed. So we have our own closed WhatsApp group. I say we, I am part of it, but they're on it all the time. so they're asking each other things. They're because talking about accountability, I hope that they have learned how to be accountable to themselves. So they'll put on to the group what their non-negotiables are for that day or that week, so that they know that they're accountable for what they need to get done. So that's really key as well.
So I've got two kind of quick questions. First of all, I love a point that you said about having the size of the group, because as an outsider to a mastermind group, I'd find it quite intimidated if I was talking and sharing my experiences to 50 people who potentially I might not know. That's quite a gut-wrenching and kind of heart-breaking experience if actually, they all go, you know what, I need more explanation. It's much easier to talk to a small group at the start than a large group. So I'm glad you made that point. Then you mentioned the two words non-negotiables. And I just want to expand on what a non-negotiable is for the people who don't know, and how they can start using non-negotiables in their day-to-day lives. Because I think that's a really key phrase, which some people will know, but some people might not know. So could you expand on that topic just a little bit?
Okay. So when someone joins Mastermind, to start with, I try to spend quite a bit of time, well, I do spend quite a bit of time with them, really helping them to get clear and ensuring that they're clear on what they're aiming to achieve with their business and for their lives. Because micro business owners, it isn't about just the business. It's about us as whole human beings and what we want from our business and how that supports and interacts with our lives. So I spend time doing their vision, and you will remember the vision podcast that we did before Christmas. So they're absolutely clear on what they want to achieve. And then we have quite a lot of discussion around what is it that's going to get you to that point. So there will probably be some key milestones. And within those key milestones, there will be certain behaviours and activities that they need to do in order to get to those milestones too. It's a bit like, eating the elephant. You break it down into small steps. So there will be, within those tasks, there'll be some things that absolutely have to happen to move their business forwards. And those we'll call a non-negotiable. Now, also a non-negotiable might be something that has to be done this way. You may have a presentation, for instance, to do as part of, whatever you do in your promotion. And that presentation has to have time spent on it in preparation. So that can also be a non-negotiable. It's whatever has to be done in order to move you through your to-do list or through your key behaviors and activities to get you to your milestones, which then get you onto your final goal, if you like, your vision.
Love it. Love it. And when I think about masterminds and where I first came across it, I think it was reading the business book by Napoleon Hill. I'm pretty sure it was in Think and Grow Rich, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And he mentions about kind of masterminds and surrounding people and getting their own views. And he wrote that in the 1920s, didn't he? Was it 1920s, 1930s? It was years and years ago.
It was a long time ago. It was certainly, that period of time, between 20s and 50s, that kind of thing. I can't remember.
Has it changed much since then? Because that's obviously where I first read it, and that's where I think it was first coined. Please, anyone in the comments, shout me down if I'm wrong on that. But has that changed, or the principles changed over that time? Because that's over 100, well, it's nearly 100 years if it's 1930s, over 100 years if it's 1920. Has it changed much over that time?
Well, I think that the principle is the same, but of course things have changed. So these days, and this was kind of said the other day when I was on one of Daniel Priestley's webinars, you can't sell knowledge because we have the internet. Now, of course, 100 years ago, knowledge was really important. So when you had a huge group of people together, they were sharing their knowledge. So the principle's still there, I think. But if it's just about sharing pure knowledge, we all Google or whatever browser you're using and things like that, so or look at a book. These things are much more accessible to us now, the knowledge thing. But when you run a business, it's more than knowledge, isn't it? It's having that competency to know how to apply that knowledge. And that's where having a group of people around you with that experience or ideas of how you can utilize the knowledge that you've got or learned or picked up from Google, that's where it's still, the principles are same, but different to how it was 100 years ago, because we have access to so much now.
It is true. And also, I suppose 100 years ago, everything was done face-to-face or over the phone. They were the two main kind of method of communications. Now we've got a plethora of kind of ways of getting in touch with us. How we've used several just to organize this one call, so it's one of those where the principle's still the same, the core essence of it, but obviously the world's changed. But I love the quote, "You can't sell knowledge now." That's brilliant. And
it wasn't mine, unfortunately.
No,
it's a realization being on one of Daniel Priestley's webinars. And if you haven't heard of Daniel Priestley, if any of the listeners haven't heard, he has some very interesting and exciting books that he's produced to help business owners like us. So I definitely recommend reading his stuff.
Brilliant. Good tip. And it's always good to kind of hear people's experiences and what they're reading and what content they're absorbing, because all of those can kind of help us develop in our own pace. These masterminds, as far as I can tell, do they happen often, actually? The frequency, and does that make a difference? Because what I was going to say was actually we can absorb the content in our own kind of time, but how often these masterminds run, and does that make a difference to the efficiency of them?
I think so. Our face-to-face mastermind is monthly, but you could hold them weekly. For instance, the Boardroom Buddies Lite online version, it could be fortnightly, and that it will depend on the group, but it's going to be pretty much monthly. And the reason is that when we're busy as business owners, a lot of the time, we've got this voice in our head saying, "Oh, I want to do so and so, but I can't, and I haven't got time, and I've got to do this, and there's so much to do," and all that kind of thing. So if your mastermind is more frequent, that's extra pressure. And what we don't want is the mastermind to be a pressure. However, it does have to exert a level of pressure, because otherwise things don't get done, do they? So not all stress is bad, by the way. So a certain level of stress and pressure about getting something done because you've vocalized it to a group of people, you know, get your homework done by a certain day, is enormously helpful for moving you forward, so long as the things that you've kind of set yourself are about moving you through that process to achieve your final goals, if you like. So I say monthly. I understand that there are masterminds that happen less frequently, and that's fine for them. But I like monthly because it's top of the mind. You can't forget it so easily, you know. So I think monthly, really.
Yeah. And for me, I echo your points about business owners being, and okay, I say business owners, me. I've got so many ideas in my mind and so many kind of so much limited time and energy and resources to kind of implement those ideas. That actually having a monthly focus or having a deadline does narrow my mind and does narrow what I need to do. And that goes back to the non-negotiables, or as I call it, my one big thing. What's my one big thing I need to get done, which makes everything else kind of irrelevant or not useful. You know, that for me is figuring that out makes it a lot easier. So when you said non-negotiables earlier on, that's as soon as you said that, I thought yes. And now you said deadlines, perfect. So it all works well. So during this kind of 25 minutes conversation we've had about masterminds, we've spoken about a hell of a lot of stuff. We've spoken about the power of kind of surrounding yourself full of different people with different experiences, non-negotiables, deadlines, the frequency, the background of masterminds, loads of other stuff. What else could, just to kind of in the last couple of minutes, what else could you share with the listeners which they can start using straight away? So this is kind of quick, actionable stuff which they can take away from this episode and go, do you know what? Listen to this episode. I want to take action. This is what I do.
Right.
What do you suggest?
Well, one of my pet things is that micro business owners don't always have a cash flow prepared for their business. Okay. And that's one of the things that I always talk to my members about. Put a cash flow forecast in place, because that is one of the really important things that help you to make decisions. So get that one out of the way and start to keep it up to date. When you have a bit more knowledge about how you're spending your money and how you've spent it and things like that and what you think you've got coming in, it helps focus the mind, but it also helps you plan for the future and make decisions. So cash flow forecast, really important. If you have an overall goal, you want to buy a yacht and sail around the world or something, you have to break that down into small kind of key things that were got to happen for you to get there. And you can't do it all at once. So have a group of people around you that will help you to kind of formulate those stages you need to go through. And they will also exert a level of realism with you as well. So if you sell, something that's £2.50, for instance, that's a lot of £2.50s you've got to sell to buy that yacht. So it's take the expertise of people around you as to how you scale up. It doesn't mean that you stop believing or you're persuaded against doing what you want to do, but it's important to have people around you that will help you to get there.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Just to finish off, so this is kind of the last section, and I massively value time and energy, and we're doing this just for full kind of transparency at 9 o'clock in the morning, like Jackie said right at the start. So, we're kicking off a day with this really, really cool chat. So wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening, Jackie, how can people get in touch with you? How can people find more about Jackie Casey Consulting? How can people find more about the business, the Boardroom Buddies Podcast, Boardroom Buddies Mastermind? How can they get in touch with you on socials and website? This is time for you to shout about your links.
Okay. Right. Okay. So I am on LinkedIn as Jackie Casey. So link with me on LinkedIn. My email address is jax, J-A-X, at Jackie Casey. That's Jackie, and then Casey, C-A-S-E-Y. That's all one word. .consulting. So it's one of these kind of modern email strings. So no .uk, just .consulting. So LinkedIn. I am on Facebook, but I prefer LinkedIn for business. I have a website which is currently undergoing its spring clean at the moment. So that will be the kind of new revisions will be launched in the next month. And that will include podcasts and downloadable guides as well. And a bit of an update about Boardroom Buddies and Boardroom Buddies Lite.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, Jackie, thank you very much for your time today. It's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you, not just because I like talking to you, but also because it's a great topic. And I think it's an important topic for micro business owners to know and understand. So thank you so much. I'm just going to remove you so I can just do a final goodbye. But Jackie, thank you so much for being part of the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I hope your listeners have got something from it.
And if you have folks and you want to connect with Jackie, please, please, please get in touch with her. I'll put all those links into the show notes. So wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, you can check them out. And please get in touch with her. Find out a bit more about Boardroom Buddies, both the podcast and the mastermind and the Lite as well. And check out her website. But until next time, folks, you take care. I'm Gary Jones from Grow, and you've been watching The Grow Show. So take care, my friends. See you later. Bye-bye.